All right. Now I think y'all can see me. Okay. Awesome. You should be able to see me all now. So, okay, great. So I'm getting the okay from Sergio to continue. I do apologize for any uh confusion. I want to welcome Kenneth Stone. Welcome, Kenneth, to the training on Dotloop. Again, like I was saying, everybody that belongs to the MLS gets a watered down version. This is not a watered down version. Our CEO, Stacy Alcorn, pays extra so that you, the agents, can have access to all these interactive forms. So again, we have all of Massachusetts, all of Connecticut. We have Florida forms, Rhode Island forms. We're in 6 states, Maine forms. So they're all in here. So how do you know you're in the brokerage account? Because you have to be invited in. So once you log into Dotloop, over here, you want it to say premium on the left-hand side. If you say Dotloop, if you see this and it says premium over here, you're in the right account. That's the brokerage premium account. If you're over here and it says you have practice loops, or if it says, if it ever asks you for money, you are not in the brokerage account. Why is it important to be in the brokerage account? Number one, it's far superior than the the watered down version. Not only that, the compliance team who's going to be checking your paperwork so that you can get paid has access to this and can see your loops. So that's how we know that you're in here. So once you join, Kenneth, you're relatively new to Lair, you would have gotten an email from me inviting you into the brokerage account. So, and this is how you know. Now, on your first time login, you're going to have to set up your 2-factor authenticity. But once you've done that, you're good to go. That's just my phone. Okay, that's Sergio saying I'm good to go. So, okay, so we are going to start with how to set up your loop for success. 3 basic steps. I'm going to say them first, and then I'm going to go over them. So the first step is you create the loop. The step 2 in section 1 on how to set up your loop for success is to add the people with their roles. Very important. Do not skip step 2. And then step 3 is you fill out the paperwork and you share it with your clients. That's as easy as it gets. And I'm telling you, you will not have a problem with your paperwork. So we're going to go over each step. Before I continue, just want to let you know that 90% of what you're going to need is always going to be on the right-hand side. All blue icons are interactive, so you can change them. You can click on them. There's really nothing you can hurt. So anything that's blue is an interactive, and you can change them. And I would recommend that you just learn how to click and click on these. You can change them to sold, your status, and we're going to go into that you want to update your status in Dotloop, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. So on how to set up your loop for success, the first step was set up your loop. So what do? This is your dashboard. These are all of my loops that I've created. Now, if you're new and this is the first time, you won't have anything here, but as soon as you create a loop, they will be listed here. So how do you create a loop? Right here on the right-hand side, it says add a loop. So you're just going to click that, and then you're going to follow the prompts. Now, if you're a listing agent or a buyer agent, you're going to want to set up your loop at the same time. It doesn't matter because we have paperwork that needs to be signed prior to showing your first showing if you're a buyer agent and prior to your listing going live. So obviously, if you're a listing agent, you're going to know the property address. So you're going to put it in here. If you're a buyer agent, you're going to put your client's name in there. And then we're going to change it to the street address they are purchasing later on. And the reason for that is the compliance team looks up everything by street address. And also when we say street address, we're asking for the complete address, not just the street. We need the town, the city, the town or city, the state, because Dotloop layer is in 6 different states. We're in Maine, we're in Connecticut, we're in Massachusetts, we're in New Hampshire, we're in Rhode Island, and we're in Florida. So we do ask you to put in the entire, now it will pull up from the MLS. So if you start doing this, you can pull from the MLS, but we're not going to do that because I always say test. So I'm going to put East Long Meadow, and I am going to put Massachusetts. You could put the zip code. I would put the whole zip code in there, but you don't have to put the zip code in. Now, again, on the right-hand side, you'll see this blue continue, okay? And now if I try to continue here, it's going to give me a warning. It will not allow you to continue. You have to pick a loop template. So if you see this drop down, these are all the different loop templates we have prepared for you in Dotloop. These templates will only have the paperwork that you need for a successful transaction. So Massachusetts listing, Massachusetts buyer, Massachusetts rental if you're representing the landlord, Massachusetts rental if you're representing the tenant, Massachusetts commercial templates. Again, these are all MAR forms. We have Maine listing templates. We have Maine buyer templates. We have New Hampshire listing, New Hampshire buyer, New Hampshire rental. We have Rhode Island listing, Rhode Island buyer. We have Connecticut welcoming our Wallingford office. We have Connecticut buyer, Connecticut listing, Connecticut lease folder, and then we have Florida. So for this training purposes, I'm going to pick that I am a list agent, okay? And now I am going to continue. Now this, you could skip this step. You don't have to upload a picture of the property. However, I just want to show you how to do it. You just click the upload button, you find it in your pictures, and you just add and click. So just so you know, it has to be it has to be a horizontal and not vertical. So you could skip this step. So, and then you're just going to hit done. So now what is it doing? Let me just turn this off. So basically what is Dotloop doing right now? Dotloop is recognizing that you created a listing. So right now, when it was doing that, it was putting in all the paperwork that you need for a listing. You're not going to find buyer paperwork in a listing folder. So what I would highly suggest, anything that blue is interactive, we'll put this as a pre-listing right now. And we're going to say, we think it's going to be 375,000, which is cheap nowadays. And so now you want to view the loop. So what you're doing is, now I have opened up my folder and I'm looking at all the paperwork. So when you're looking at your dashboard and you see it over here, this is like when you used to go to the office, you used to get a manila folder, and then you would put the name on the outside of the manila folder, and then you would open up the manila folder, go over to the office where they supplied all the forms, and you would put in all the forms that you needed. But we have done all that paperwork for you. So you have 2 folders inside each loop. Every single time you create one, you have the listing folder. 95% of what you're going to need for a successful transaction is right here, is in this first folder. Okay. However, if there is some other information that you may need, like extension of time, we have another folder that says other important document folder. We have done this for you so that you don't have to search through our templates of over 5,000 forms to find this form. So if you want something in this other important document folder, like this extension of time, if you just put your cursor on it, drag it, you could drag it up anywhere into your existing listing folder. I'm going to put it on the top. And there it is. Now you can also shrink this folder I only like to look at the paperwork I need to work on. I do not like to look at anything I don't need to look at. I like a really clean workspace, so it hasn't gone away. So if you need it, you just click on it, that opens it, and click on it, and it closes it. So again, 90%, 95% of what you're going to need for a successful transaction is right here. So here's your listing agreement. Here's your authorization to offer buyer broker compensation. Here's your mandatory agency disclosure, your affiliated business. Here's your purchase and sale. Here's your lead paint, property inclusion, seller's description of property. So those are everything you're going to need for a listing. So we created the loop. That was step one. Now, step two, you want to scroll down. I know I talk fast, so if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Just want to welcome Lindsay. Welcome, Lindsay, on our Dotloop training. If you have any questions whatsoever, just put it in the chat and I will check it periodically. So we created the loop, and now our second step is to go down to the people section. You have to just scroll down, and here's the people. Now, here I am as the agent. You never have to add yourself, because every time you create a loop, it'll add you. However, it did not pick the role, and this is vital. You need to pick the role. So I'm going to say I'm a listing agent. Why do you need to pick the role? Because everywhere that I have to sign on this paperwork as a listing agent, it will automatically input my name. So of course, we're going to need to add our seller, which Mary Glavy is so graciously, she's always on my trainings, and she is my resident buyer who buys everything. Anyways, I'm giving her a role. This is vital. Please do not skip this step. You need to make sure we know her role in this transaction is seller. So everywhere Mary Glavy needs to sign on those documents, it'll automatically add her signature or a place for her signature. I'm going to show you what it looks like so that she can sign automatically. Now, this information here is required by the state, so you can add it now or you can add it later. You are going to have to add this information if you want to submit your paperwork for review. So you can add it now if you want. I'm adding her phone number. And we also know that Mary, what we're selling may not be where the person lives. So I'm going to have Mary at 124, and it has to be broken down by street number, street name. I'm going to have her live at Maple, but she's going to be selling North Main Street. So we don't have a unit number. East Long Meadow. We don't need marital status. So I'm adding her now. Now notice it has here Mary Glavy, she's the seller, and she has me in my loop as the listing agent. Now, if you're a listing person on this transaction, I would definitely not hesitate to add the buyer agent once you get one into this section, because you're going to be sharing documents back and forth. They cannot see everything in your loop. So that's a fallacy. A lot of people are afraid to add people to the people section because they really believe and afraid that if I add them, they're going to be able to see everything in my loop. That is not true. There is just one caveat to that. If you do add a person and they are a transaction coordinator, you're going to want to check this add to team. The only time you should check this add to team is if you do have a transaction coordinator who definitely needs to see your loop so they can do the job that you're paying them for, or if you are a team leader and you want to be able to see your team's loops, you're going to add to team. That is the only time you check this off. You never add your clients. Your clients are always your clients. They are not team members. So I'm going to add, we'll say we have Christine Vastek as my transaction coordinator. So I'm going to put her in here and I'm going to give her the role as transaction coordinator, which we do have in here. So I'm going to add her and I'm going to add her to the team. Now, when you do that, it's giving you a warning. This cannot be undone. for this loop. Team members share everything in a loop. So it's giving you a warning. Whenever you hit that add to a team, they can see everything in your loop. So that's the only caveat to that. So I just did that. And so that was step 2. So step 1 was create the loop. Step 2 was to add the people along with their roles. Please do not skip step 2. It's vital. Okay. And then step 3 is you're going to fill out the paperwork. So I'm going to go up to the top. Here's my paperwork. We need to fill out the listing agreement. Now it's asking you, do you want to autofill, because it recognized that Mary Glavy is the seller and then I'm the listing agent. And yes, I want it to autofill. So I am going to put autofill down here. I'm going to say yes, put it in. Now, this is why it's important to add a role and also add your clients in the people section. I have a difficult name that people slaughter when they spell. So if you put the person's name in the people section and you spell it right the first time, you will never misspell their name ever on any of the paperwork that they need to sign. So anything that's blue is interactive. So I'm just showing you that you're just going to go into blue. Anything blue you can type into. You can say seller hereby that the property does not have recording devices. Here is where you're going to give your commission. Percentage wise, we'll give you a 6% of the gross selling price. There is a little bit of controversy here because this defaults to gross selling price. If you are going to charge your client off of the net, you just need to cross it out gross and put net. So just do that. We don't usually at Laird do a flat fee, so you're not going to do that. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, notice how it has a place for Mary to sign, but I have to sign this. So all I have to do is click and hit sign now. Because I put my role in there, it has done this, and all I do is adopt and sign. It would not do this if I didn't add myself in the people section and given myself the role. Same here. They know Dotloop has prepared this document that Mary has to sign this. Now, just so you know, Dotloop always defaults to 2 buyers, 2 sellers. If you only have one, all you have to do is click on the name that says seller, sign here, and you're going to go up to here and you're going to assign that field to no one. So now Mary, there's no one assigned to this field. Mary only has to sign here, and we're going to save. We are not going to save and share at this point, and I'll tell you why in about 1 minute, but I'm just going to save that. I'm going to go back into my loop. This is just saying you have not shared a document. Would you like to share it? No, not at this time, because I want to go over this really quick one more time for you. I'll go over the mandatory agency disclosure, because we all know that when you're setting up for an actual listing, there's several documents that need to be signed. So we do want this auto-filled. Now, because we use this form for both the seller and the buyer in the state of Massachusetts, we did not click this for you. You're going to have to check it. So we're going to check that we represent the seller. If you work for Laird, you are designated agency, so we checked that for you. But again, same document for buyer seller, so we ask you to do that. And now I need to sign here. I'm just showing you again. Notice how it has my name. It has my license number. I never have to do that again. I'm going to adopt my signature. I'm going to write that I'm a broker. Now, again, Mary can sign. She's the seller. Again, defaults to 2 people, so just click where you want to assign to no one, and you're going to save that. So the reason why I didn't save and share at the same time, because if I saved and shared at the same time, what would happen is your client would get 2 separate emails, one with the listing agreement, then another email with the mandatory agency license. When you fill out the paperwork all up front, so this authorization to offer, when you fill out all your paper all at once, and then you go in here and check off what you want to send your client, it'll send all of the forms in one email, versus if you filled it out, saved and shared each individual one, your client would get 4 different emails because we have exclusive right to list, we have mandatory agency, we have the affiliated business, we have lead paint and built it prior to 1978, we have inclusion, exclusion. So they would get 6 different emails. If you do it this way, they're going to get 1 email with all of the forms in that 1 email. So a lot easier. So what you have to do is once you fill out the forms, all you want to do is you want to go and you want to click the ones that you're going to send your clients. So I'm going to send this one and the mandatory agency. Notice how the big share button came up. So let me unclick this. So you can't see the share button, but as soon as you click on the documents that you want to send your client, again, on the right-hand side, remember I said 95% of what you're going to use or do in Dotloop is going to be blue, and it's going to be on the right-hand side of the screen. And so what I want to do is I'm going to now share this. Now, the reason I'm going to share this is because Dotloop has a built-in email system in Dotloop. So when you share it, it's opening up the email system. Now, because we've given Mary the role as seller, it knows by the documents we're sending that she's the seller because we gave her the role as the seller. So it automatically checks her off. You don't have to do anything. And it automatically gives her the option of can sign. Of course, we want her to sign, she's our seller, but there are other options. If I put an attorney in here, it would be view only. So this defaults to can sign. You don't have to do anything. And so what you're going to do is you're going to make a little message. Hello, Mary. I'll just put please sign docs. And you can put things like looking forward to working with you if you have any questions. Now, before I hit the share button, I want to talk about this. I always recommend that agents click this off. What does this do? So basically, it gives your client 2 options here. They can sign electronically, or they can print it as a PDF, sign it, hard sign it, upload it, and send it to you. So why would you bother to do that? Well, I can think of a couple reasons. Your clients may be elderly, and they want the attorney to see it. So if you put it as a PDF as well, they can forward that document to the attorney who cannot change it, but he could read it. They can print it off, make a cup of coffee, sit down, read the entire contract. My husband and I never sign anything without reading everything. And they might want to do that. Or they might want their children to look it over just to make sure it's just your standard form. And they say, yeah, you can sign it. The attorney says you can sign it. The great thing about that is if they give them the okay, they can then go back to the email and hit the sign electronic button, which will open up Dotloop and they can sign electronically. Or the lawyer could call them in, he could go over everything, he'll print them and have them sign because you attached it as a PDF. So I'm going to share this right now with Mary. This document had been shared and waiting on others. So we're going to hit done. Now you'll notice that it's showing me that I have not shared these, that I did share these, and they're waiting on my client to sign, okay? So right now, Mary Glavy just received these documents. She's going to open them up, and she's going to sign them, and then you're going to see that it's going to change from waiting on others to signed. Now, that completes the first section on how to set up your loop for success. So those are the 3 steps. I'm going to pause here. If you have a question, just put it in the chat. So the 3 steps to set up your transaction for success is number 1, create the loop. Number 2, add the people with the roles. Please do not skip that step. Make sure you're adding the roles. And 3 is to fill out and share the paperwork. So let me just refresh this because see, I just want to show you what it looks like that now Mary, our client, has signed these. So now we have signed documents. So that's awesome. I want to just let you know also, you're going to get an email saying so-and-so, Mary Glavy has sent you a note that she signed these. So I just wanted to show you that as well. So now I'm going to go into our second session, which is how to submit your loop for review in Dotloop. So we have a compliance team at Lair that makes sure that we have all of the necessary required paperwork that each state requires. So Lair is in 6 different states at the moment. And so each state has different requirements. So we have a compliance team that will look over your paperwork to make sure that all of your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. So before we go into that, I want to point this out right here. Every single time you create a loop, you are going to see this pending checklist on every loop that you create. If you click that, it is going to give you what Lair is looking for in order for your loop to be approved. So if you have these things in your loop fully executed, okay, fully executed means all parties have signed, including you. So you wouldn't believe sometimes we get paperwork where the agent didn't sign the paperwork. So if you have all of this in your loop fully executed, you should have no problem getting your loop approved for commission. Okay, so let me just go over this really quick. Obviously, on the buy side, agency disclosure, signed offer. A lot of agents skip this because they go right to purchase and sale. In Massachusetts, we do a signed offer, so I highly recommend you do your due diligence to your client, your fiduciary duty, and make sure you're getting those offers signed, okay? Then you have purchase and sale agreement. We usually get the purchase and sale agreement, but this is where loops get stopped, is we have addendums in there, but they're not fully executed. Maybe you need an extension. Signed by the buyers, but not signed by the sellers. So your loop will not be approved unless all of the addendums are also fully executed, because we all know that addendums become part of the P&S. So we have to have those signed. Buyer agency contract, this is required across all 50 states now since August, so that is required. Seller's description of property, some states it is required. Connecticut it is, New Hampshire it is, Massachusetts it is not. However, if your seller does fill it out, it will be required that the buyer signs it, because your seller has let you know information that they want to pass on to the buyers about the property. So if your client refuses to fill this out, that's fine in the state of Massachusetts, not so in Connecticut, New Hampshire. Lead paint, obviously we only need lead paint if built prior to 1978. And the affiliated business arrangement disclosure, this is the only document that Lair requires, and it's a document just stating that Stacy Alcorn has affiliated business, she's affiliated with other businesses as coast-to-coast closings. On the list side, it's almost exactly the same. Agency disclosure, we need a listing agreement. We do need authorization to offer buyer broker compensation. If your client is not going to offer buyer broker compensation, you do not need this form. If your client is going to offer buyer broker compensation, you will need this. Purchase and sale, along with all addendums, seller's disclosure of property, signed offer, lead paint if built prior to 78, copies of deposit checks in the affiliated business. If you have all of this, you are not going to have a problem with the compliance team reviewing your loop. Here's a question that we get quite often. When should you submit your loop for review? It's a great question, and the answer is the same if you're a buyer agent or a listing agent. You want to submit your loop for review and put in a check request, 2 different things, right after the purchase and sale is signed and we have received all monies, or after inspections and you've sent and signed the purchase and sale if you're a buyer agent. Why would you do this? Why would you submit your loop for review 3 weeks before closing, or put in a check request 3 weeks before a closing? Because we have over 800 agents at Lair. We are covering 6 different states, so our compliance team has their hands full, and we just want to make sure that we get everything signed before a closing, because we all know we don't want to hold up your commission check because we're missing an initial on a lead paint. So that's why we ask you to submit your loop for review after inspections, after the purchase and sale is signed, and also submit your check request. So the check request is not in Dotloop. You're just going to go to it. I'm going to type this in the chat. You're going to go to lairrealty.com/check request. That is where you fill out your check request. So I'm putting that. So you just need to know. So submitting your loop for review is done in Dotloop, but requiring the check request is at that. I put it in the chat. You just go to lairrealty.com/check request and you fill that out. We are going to be having a check request training next month. I'm looking forward to doing that with you. So, how to submit for review. We are going to hit, again, it's on the right-hand side. It's blue, it's interactive. And now it's asking for the property address. Remember, we put the address where Mary lived. We never entered in the property address. So we're going to put in that the property address is Maple Street in East Long Meadow, Massachusetts, 01028. We need the MLS number, okay? So we're going to put that in, and we need the year built. Zip code is not that void. Okay, if you ever get this, what I want you to do is X out of that, and I want you to go to the view details. This is where you're really going to put in the information that you need. So here's the property address. I tried to do it in that pop-up screen because I wanted to show you that it may reject it in the pop-up screen. So I wanted you to go to view details. That's where I'm in now. And we're going to go to property, and I'm going to put in the street number 125. Let's see, Maple Street. Oh, wait, full address. Okay. Now, if you pulled it from the MLS and it has the full address all on the 125 Maple Street, East Long Meadow, unfortunately, it does have to be broken down by street number, street name, unit number. I'm going to put East Long Meadow. Oh my goodness, here, what is going on? Here, I'm going to put the state. I'm going to put the zip code. We do not need the county. MLS, we do need the MLS number. So the great thing is this also takes alphabetical letters as well. So if it's a non-MLS, you could put that, but I'm just going to put the MLS number right there. We don't need this. We do need the year built. So just make sure that you save that information. And now we're going to go back and we're going to hit the submit for review. Again, here's the submit for review. It's still, we're missing information. So if I go here, I'm missing the zip code for Mary, the seller. So I'm going to go back to view details, which is right here. I'm going to find Mary, my seller. Here she is. I'm going to hit the edit button and I'm going to put the zip code. It's missing. So I'm going to put that in for her. I'm going to hit save. I'll save it again just to make sure. And now I'm going to hit submit for review. Now it's asking me, there's two folders inside this loop. What do you want the compliance team to look at? Well, we didn't use anything in other important documents. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check off. I want them to look at the listing folder and I'm going to put listing review and I'm going to submit it for review. Now notice how it has changed these all from not submitted to submitted. So that's how you know that you sent it to the compliance team. Because if you're a really busy agent, you may not remember if you submitted it for review. And this is how you can tell. Just open up the loop. And if you see submitted over here, that means the compliance team has gotten your request and they're working on it. So basically, that is how you submit a loop for review. I am going to pause right here because sometimes we do get questions here. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat because for time purposes, I want to go over because this third section of training is my favorite, which is all the little tips and tricks, which I want to show you. So one of the things I want to show you is we do ask that all of your loops are submitted for review by street number. Now, if you're a buyer agent, you're going to create the loop by your client's name. But once we get a purchase and sale, I want to show you how to change the title of your loop. So you're going to go to view details. That's where you're going to do all of the changing. Use custom name, and you can put John and Sue Smith. And I can save that. Now it's going to, I can look up this loop either by the name or the street. Okay. Again, compliance team looks everything up by street. Same thing with your check requests. You need to fill out the complete street address. Okay. So I just showed you how to change a title. So now I can look this up either by saying John Smith, or I could say 123 Main Street. So let me go back to, this is your dashboard. This is all of your loops that you've created. So this is what it's going to look like. So you can make this look different. Right now, I have this in the grid view, which is what I prefer. I think it's nice and clean, but you have two other options. This is what the list view looks like, and this is what the compact view looks like. I prefer the grid view, but you could change it. I have all my filters off. What does that mean? That means under this loop status, I have nothing checked off. So over here, it is showing me absolutely everything I've ever created in this training loop template that I have. But if you're a really busy agent and you're very diligent at updating your status here, you can filter everything by, you just want to see your active listings and your under agreements. You check them off and you apply. And now it's only going to show me loops that I've created with a status of active listing or under agreement. Notice there's going to be no solds, no archives, no terminated, no pre-sale. You're only going to see under status, active, and under agreement. Again, this will only work as good as you are as updating the status. If you know you created a loop and you can't find it, I always tell people check your filters first and then make sure under loop status you have nothing checked and then hit apply. It'll show you absolutely everything you've ever created. So if you're a really busy agent and you're on top of your game, you could use the filter. It'll work great. Right now, I am sorting everything by the one I created most recently. So the one that I just created now is on top, going from the most recent all the way to 2013 when we started using Dotloop. So it'll just go on and on forever. So you can also sort by, there's so many different things: last updated, transaction price, listed date, expiration date, closing date, submitted review, contact agreement date. So those are all the things that you can sort this. Most agents just like the one they recently created on top, so they just default to that. So that's your dashboard. I want to go over this over here because if you hit where your name is and you hit my account, what you want to do is you do want to fill in your profile. You're going to want to fill in your profile. This is where I have my license number. You'll never have to type in your license number again if you go to your profile and enter it in. And that's also, this is the office ID for Lair in Massachusetts. We get a lot of questions. What's the office ID? So if you put that in for Massachusetts, it's 8890. For different states, it's different number. But I also put in, this is where you can add your associations. So right now we have all MAR forms, but if you want Greater Boston, you can add the association. If you belong to it, you will have access to their forms. But at Lair, we do ask that the agents, we prefer that you use the MAR forms, but you can do that if you want to. Your address of where your company is, you'll never have to fill out this again. So I would take the time to fill out your profile under your account. Just make sure you hit the save button on the bottom. So I wanted to show you that. And now I want to show you, I'm going to go back and open up this loop. I want to show you where and how you get into the email system that's built in. Now, I want to show you before we do that, there's 3 ways you can add documents to your loop. And I wanted to show you that again. On the right-hand side, it's blue. You're just going to hit add documents. It is going to give you your 3 options. You can search templates. So if you open that up, you're going to look for obviously what state. We divided all of these templates into the state. We didn't want you to have to go through over 5,000 forms looking for Connecticut forms if you're a Massachusetts agent. So you're just going to hit Massachusetts and you're going to type out what you think it's called. Let's see. Let's do purchase and sale. So let me type. So once I start typing, it's going to give me contract to purchase and sale. Here's the new one. We'll just say that's it. But you can look it up numbers. If you know the MAR form 708 listing agreement, if you know, most people don't know the MAR form. So they just start typing in mandatory agency disclosure. And so you could do it by the MAR form number or just start typing in the name. Less is better is going to give you more options, because if you know it as agency disclosure, and if you type in agency disclosure, it's not going to pull this form up, because the legal name of this form is mandatory licensed consumer relationship. So if I put agency disclosure, it's going to give me exclusive buyer agency, listing agreement, exclusive right agency, but it's not going to give me the mandatory agency disclosure, because that is not the legal name. So the less you type, the better off you are. You're just going to click on it and you're going to copy. And what it's going to do, it's going to copy that form into your loop. So that's an interactive. Now, if you click on it and you autofill, it's an interactive form that your client can sign. So I want to show you the other way. Obviously, you can browse your computer for downloads. You can download any of these. Here's an MLS exchange form. So it's a PDF. A lot of agents are taking photos of documents, really not professional. You should not be doing that. That's not, you got to do your fiduciary duty to protect your client. So please do not, first of all, Dotloop won't even upload photos. They have to be PDF. So please make sure you're not taking photos, everything PDF if you're going to do it that way. Now, I love this one section here. I love, 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 love this. A lot of agents don't know this, but every time you create a loop, each loop you create has its own email attached directly to that loop called 123 Main Street. Okay. Now, I can add, so if I get an email with a PDF attached to it as an offer, I can take that PDF and drop it directly into this loop without making a duplicate loop. So how do you do that? First thing you want to do is you want to go open up your loop. You want to add a document. You're going to hit add by email. You're going to click this. This is the email address that will take any PDF that you have attached in your email and drop the PDF directly into this folder. So let me copy this link. Now I'm going to go to my training video down here because I want to show you how to work this training folder. Now, right here, I have a offer from Peter Marino. Okay, so I get an email stating that Peter Marino has sent me an offer. So if I open up the offer, if I hit the blue Dotloop link, it's going to make another loop called 123 Maple Street. That's the buyer's loop. And now I have my loop, the listing loop. So how to avoid duplicate loops with the same name is you're going to open up the email that has the PDF attached to it. And we're going to forward that email with the PDF attached to it to the email address that'll drop that PDF. See this off, it says offer from Peter Marino. It's going to drop this PDF directly into the loop without making another loop. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You just forward it to there and I'm going to send it. So I sent it. And now I'm going to go to Dotloop. It's going to show up right here because that's where I copied that email. So it does take a little bit and you have to refresh the page. So if I refresh the page, there it is. Offer from Peter Marino. So it took that PDF that was attached in the email and dropped that PDF into my loop without making a duplicate loop. I absolutely love that feature. You just go to add document and you hit the email, copy it, forward, and it drops it in there. Now, I want to show you this little feature. Again, it's blue and it's on the right-hand side. So add a folder. You may have buyers you're working for as well. So I'm going to make this buyer folder. If you hit this 3 dots here. So I add a folder and then you can either click on it or you can rename it. You can rename this. I'm going to rename this buyer folder. Because I have some buyers that I think are going to be very interested in this property at 123 Main Street. So we'll say I have a buyer folder now, I have a listing folder. So if you're a dual agency, you do not have to make 2 different loops, one for the buyer, one for the seller. All you have to do is make 2 different folders in your loop and submit both of them for the compliance team to look at. So let's say we need to search a contract to purchase. Contract to purchase real estate. There it is. I'm going to copy that. And notice that it put it up here. It's in this folder because I added the document in this folder. So just make sure that when you add a document, you're adding it in the folder you want it to go to. You can add a folder. Maybe you want to name this. If you just hold and click this, you could put backup offers. Right now, we're getting multiple offers on everything. And so what I could do is, we didn't take this offer from Peter, but I can drag the offer from Peter and put it in my backup offers. This way, all of your offers are in one place. You don't have to search your email. Who was that offer? Where was that offer coming from? And we know how inundated our emails get, our texts get. So if you put your backup offers in a folder, you'll have all the information right there. You can contact the buyer either through text. You can add them to the people section down here and you can email them. So let's put, I'm going to add Peter Marino. So I'm going to add Peter Marino and I'm going to say that I'm giving him the role as a buyer agent. I'm going to add him. So I want to show you something because I want to show you how to get to the email system that's built into Dotloop right here. This is how you're going to access the email system that's built into Dotloop. If you hit this, it's giving you over here on the left-hand side, the people you have listed in the people section. So if you had the underwriter here, the underwriter would be here. If you had the seller's attorney, and the people section would be here. So what you want to do is, I sent this email to Mary. What's in black is what you are currently looking at. So I sent this and I told Mary, please sign docs. And she sent a message back saying, all set, Lisa. But say I want to send an email to Peter Marino to let him know the deal fell through. Hello, Peter. Is your client still interested? Current deal fell through. And you can send that. So I just wanted to show you how to access the built-in email system. And again, everybody you have in the people section down here is going to show up. Mary Glavu is there. Peter Marino is there. If I put an attorney in there, they would show up as well. So I wanted to go over that. It's very important that you fill this out, and I'm going to tell you why. You really should fill out the status, because I'm going to show you with a click of a button, you can look and see how well you're doing, your business is doing by one click of a button. But it only works as good as the information you give it. So let's say this is a pre-listing and it went under agreement. Anything in red, you should definitely fill out. So we're going to add the price. It didn't go for $375. It went for $475. So we'll put the closing price, the closing. And you should always put the closing date. So I'm going to say that this is going to close. Why won't it work? This thing won't work. Let me see. There it goes. I'm going to have this close on the 30th, which, by the way, is the busiest real estate day of the whole year, is June 30th. Not sure if you guys knew that, but now the reason why you want to make sure you change this to under agreement and that you put in the price and that you put the closing date is because if you click on this little icon up here, reporting, it's going to give you a snapshot of how good your business is. Now, please remember that this is a training video, but it is telling you in March, if you hover over this, you had $775,000 worth of real estate that was completed. Green is a completed transaction. Yellow are things that are under agreement. Red are things that fell through. And gray is things that are starting. So this is only as good as the information that you input along the way. And also, when a property closes, you want to change it to sold. You never want to archive a sold property. Sold properties stay sold. And that's because if you ever wanted to filter your properties to send an end of the year holiday greeting card, you could filter and just say, I only want to see my solds. And now you have all of your clients' information right at your fingertips. You just go to the people section, you click on their name, it's going to have their address, it's going to have everything. There it is. You can send a holiday greeting. Maybe you want to do, what does the market look like in 2026? So again, that's only as good as filling in this information. I can't stress this enough. This reporting field will not work unless you're changing things from pre-listing, active listing, under agreement, withdrawn can be drawn, terminated are terminated, and archives could be ones that they just couldn't find anything. But solds should stay sold. You should never take a completed transaction that started off and went all the way to sold and change that to anything other than sold. Just keep it sold. So I just want to go over these. These are your universal icons. Again, that's your reporting. I love this feature, and I know 99% of the agents don't even use it. And it's really sad because it really could help you. That is just your loops. It's your dashboard, brings you open to your dashboard. So I just wanted to show you that. Task, you can assign tasks to people. If you have a team, you can give deadlines. So a lot of agents don't use that. You could use it if you assign a task, it'll email your client. So say your client hasn't signed the paperwork. If you assign them the task of signing the documents, it'll email them every week until they sign the documents. I mean, some agents like that task, some don't. It really works if you're on a team and you need to tell them, turn off. This really works good when it's getting close to the closing and you want them to transfer the utilities out of their name. They want to tell them, call and, have a junk man come and pick up the junk, So then this one here is your people section. So here's all of your contacts. So any attorney that you use, one time you enter them, it's there. So you can enter contacts. These are trusted providers that you can fill in. You just fill this in, fill the information in, and then you can send these contacts to your client. So if they're looking for a home warranty or moving company, you could fill these in one time and then send these to your clients. Very easy, very simple to do. So that's in the contacts. This is your template. Remember, I told you how to find the templates. Massachusetts templates, New Hampshire templates, Connecticut templates, Rhode Island, Maine, and Florida. We have Spanish forms. This is very important. We have forms that are in Spanish over here. And then again, I did already show you this. This is your account. This, if you ever have to call Dotloop, they're going to ask for your member ID. It's right under your account. And if you hit my account, that's where you're going to complete your profile. So I wanted to go over that. We're running down. So I want to take questions right now. If anybody has any questions, just put it in the chat because we only have 3 minutes left of the training. I do want to put in the chat. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. If you get stuck, can you please confirm the office ID number for filling out forms? Yes. So the office ID for Massachusetts is 8890. So Ken, I put that in there for you. That's for Massachusetts only. So obviously we have a number for New Hampshire and one for Florida and one for Connecticut. So if you need that, I want to tell you, if you're working and you get stuck, this is where you want to go. happyagent@lairrealty.com. I'm going to put that in there. That's the email you want to send everything, no matter if it's a Dotloop question or a check request question or anything like that, because what's happening, we have several of our employees are on that all the time, and they assign your question to the correct person. So obviously, if it was Dotloop, they would assign it to me. If it's deposit link, they're going to assign it to me. If it's your Stacks bill, how we collect, we have how you can make payments for a credit card, by credit card, they'll assign that to me. But if you have a check request question or accounting question, so you want to send it to happyagent@lair.com. That is the proper place to send it, and you're going to get the prompt answer. So I wanted to go over that, where to do that. We're constantly going over that in our sales rally meetings. I do trainings for Dotloop once a month. This is being recorded. So if you want to know, we have a YouTube channel and you can get these on YouTube. I also have some Dotloop videos that are broken down by section, like just on how to submit a loop review. So they're no more than 10, 15 minutes. How to put a state in, how to add a person. So we do have those. Again, if you're interested in those broken down trainings that are done by topics, just send that to Happy Agent and they will give you the link and where to find those. I do Dotloop training once a month. So it's usually the first week of the month. I was on vacation this week, so on the first week, so I was not there. You're welcome, Mary. Mary Glavy, thank you for always assisting me and helping me in these trainings. I think in June, I am the first week. I think it's June 4th. I'm not sure. But if you want to take the training again, we do ask that you can take the training as many times as you want. I love live trainings because you guys can ask questions as we go along. So, but until then, just practice. Practice makes perfect. You're going to love Dotloop. It's a great system. And until next time, happy looping. My name is Lisa Pruccio, and I'll see you in June. Thank you, everybody. Bye.